Hello and welcome to my channel, Elvis Presley from A to Z. I hope you are ready. I hope you have your headphones. I hope you have your drink, and I hope you have a nice secluded area to listen to some Elvis in the studio. A series that I thought I would kick off my new channel with. After 2 years of quarantine and pandemic, due to both pandemic and quarantine, I have seen thousands of hours of YouTube on Elvis and thought I would like to share what I love about Elvis and share some of my session recordings and how I like to listen to them. And also make some friends on YouTube. That's it. I'm not interested on begging for money or going viral. I'm interested in just sharing stuff. So you got your headphones, you got your drink, kick back and let's go to the studio. All right, so we're in the studio with Elvis. It's January 13th, 1957, 1 week after doing the Ed Sullivan show and singing Peace in the Valley, which later I'm going to have Angie from Graceland explain to you who it really was that recommended this song be sung. But I digress. So it's January 13th, 1 week after he's flown to California to get in the studio and record some new music, Song for Loving You, and then to create an EP of gospel songs. This one is the main, it's called Peace and Valley, would be the EP, which, back for those who aren't familiar with actual vinyl and records, an EP was a 4 song record. So, but one thing about that time was Elvis was on the charts big time. 56 was probably one of the biggest years ever in, in charting. He had 8 hits in the top 100 at that time, sitting at number 3 at the time with Love Me Tender, right behind Singing the Blues, which is actually a pretty damn good song. So that's where we're at that time. So here is the studio sessions for that day. These are the songs that were done in the studio on January 13th. He does some recording the day before, and he was going back to the studio the next week. But on this day, he did Mean Woman Blues, which is for Loving You. He did Peace in the Valley, which is the song we're going to listen to today. I Beg of You. That's When Your Heartaches Begin, which is a song that he did when he was at Sun Records. And then another part of the EP, Take My Hand, Precious Lord. So the session. This is the recording session for that day. The studio is in Hollywood, in Santa Monica, California, Hollywood, Santa Monica Boulevard, Hollywood, and he was at that studio that day from 12 a.m. in the morning until 7 p.m. that night recording. And there was the producer Steve Scholes, who was the man who signed Elvis to RCA, and Thorne Nogar, who is the engineer. We will see their pictures here in a second. And of course, we have the review of the musician Elvis, Scotty Moore, Bill Black, DJ Fontana, and the Jordanaires. But I put in red a person's name, Dayton Burr Bones Howe, because if you're a real true Elvis fan, you will know who that man is. And I would like for you to put in the comment who he was and what relationship he had with Elvis through his career. So this is in the studio. Elvis is standing there in front of 2 microphones. Another thing we will discuss in this video. Why was there 2 microphones? Bill Black's on the left with a microphone in front of his bass, and that famous bass that he used his whole career with Elvis. On the right is Scotty Moore. On the left of Elvis, on our right, is Scotty Moore in the chair, probably tuning his guitar. Behind Bill Black is DJ Fontana. And then on the person with our back is Thorne Nogar. He is the sound engineer. There's Steve Schultz. He is the A&R man who signed Elvis to the contract with a $35,000. I believe it was the amount plus a $5,000 bonus, which today would be $55,000, which is a small bonus really compared to what money's thrown about for non-talent. There's Thor Nogar, the producer, the engineer, who you will hear in the studio speaking to Elvis. It's take number 4, take number 5, and who Elvis joked around with a lot. And as anal as I can be, that's the temperature of the day, 61 degrees, January 13th, 1957, in Hollywood, California. I'm such a music. Okay, here's the takes for that day. There will be peace in the valley for me. 9 takes, plus we'll do a comparison take at the end. Most of these takes, as you notice, are not very long. 35, those are false starts. Now, I will not be playing the full take on every one of these because it would be redundant to play the thing over and over again. So the average length for each take is going to be about a minute. But you get the banter, you get to hear, and you hear the distinction in the stereo of that day. Because in 1957, you did not buy a stereo record. You bought a mono record. They did not have stereo records released. In fact, Elvis's first stereo album released was 1960, Elvis is Back. So that's where we are at. We are going to go in the studio with Elvis, and we're going to begin right now with take number 1.
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh yes. Well, the morning's so bright.
Okay, so what did you think about that? Did you have your headphones on? Could you hear Elvis right in the center of the room? A binaural recording is when they station 2 microphones. It's not the 2 microphones I'm talking about above his head right now. They station 2 microphones in like a head-like figure where they're pointing in different directions and they record the room. So you get kind of a feel of a stereo, but it's not true stereo. That's a binaural recording. So that's a pretty cool take right there. More focused toward the center. You're going to hear more differential in the studio of the microphones. I got to keep remembering to look at the camera because I, I feel like I'm not looking at you guys. Anyway, now we're going to go to take number 2. Ready? Let's go.
Next song. Scotty Butter, I can't, yeah. Who do you think I am, Howard Hogan? What? Yeah, it's the same. All right, Scotty. Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away.
Okay, so what did you notice about that? Well, first of all, that was both takes number 2 and 3. But what did you notice the difference in the 2 takes? About the intro. Put it in the comments down below. There's a difference of how they started that song off just between those 2 takes. So big difference too. Really noticed it. And just a side note, I thought this would be kind of curious. My video I'm making here has a little transition effect between them, and it's called spin out. So if you're an Elvis fan, you know what that means. So I thought it'd be cool to use that one. Anyways, I digress. So that's take number 2 and 3. Cool. You hear a little bit more of a differential in the sound in the studio. You can kind of separate Elvis now away from the center of the room and all the guys talking, even the music. The piano on the left when it starts off, and the guitar, Scotty, on the right. Pretty cool, huh? Let's get to takes number 4 now. Ready?
Well, I'm tired but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh yes, well the morning's so bright and the lamb.
Okay, what'd you think about that? I hope you noticed in the comments, which I'm hoping is more effective than having me interrupt a take and talk, to say something, or even to have me to have my picture within it, because I didn't want to distract from you focusing on it. But you notice in the comments about the two microphones up above Elvis's head. The reason why RCA did that was because Elvis used to move around a lot in the studio, and he would keep moving away from the microphone. So they spread two of these microphones. These, well, today they're about $6,500. I'm sure they were still expensive in their day, but these are very popular RCA microphones, which are still used today. Let's go to take 5 and 6. All right, those were two very short takes, false starts, but I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit on Scotty Moore there. Obviously, a very good guitarist, great guitarist, famous Hall of Famer guitarist, who many of the rock stars later could never really emulate the sound that he got and he gave. Unfortunately, the last time he ever spent with Elvis was during the '68 special. And great guitarist. Being a guitarist myself for so many years, I admire the man. But anyways, let's go to take number. Where are we at? 5 and 6. Let's go to take number 7.
There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. Oh, there'll be no sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I see. There will be peace in the valley for me.
Okay, I think that's a pretty cool take. A little section out of take number 7 there. You hear the Jordanaires, the differentiation. You hear the Jordanaires on the right and Elvis on the left. And it's a lot fuller and cleaner. We're getting to the last two takes here in 8 and 9. And you're going to start hearing the song coming together. Especially take 9, which is the final product. The next take is 8 and 9 together. And on 9, you're going to hear the finished product. Not the whole song. You're going to hear the finished product of what it sounded like before the final engineer. So let's get to that.
It's easy, see, I can sing this song all day.
I can't hear with it.
Yeah, sure. I can sing it better than that. I can put some blues in it. Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, me. I had to belch up that egg I ate. so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, yes.
So there you got it. You got takes 8 and 9. 9 is the one that they used for the master. There's a snippet of that towards it. You can hear Elvis' humor in the middle of it. Having to stop 8 and then do number 9. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do take 9 with a comparison with the raw finish of the master and then the finished product. And what I have done is with my software, my recording software, I've taken both samples, both takes, and I have spliced it together at a point. It's not the full song. We're going to end this video with the full song. We're going to end it with Elvis's performance with Ed Sullivan. But I would like for you to take note at the time that you notice the change when it goes from the raw to the finished product, and make a note of the time on the counter on your video and make it in a comment. See if you notice it. All right, let's do it.
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, yes. Where the morning's so bright and the Lamb is the light, and the night is as black as the sea. Oh, yes. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. Oh Lord, I pray. There'll be no sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I see. There will be peace in a valley for me.
All right, there you have it. I hope you notice the difference at the breaking point. If you notice the time on the screen, make a comment in the comment section. Let me know. Let me know what you thought about this production. I'm not going to do more. I know it's a little lengthy, but got to spend a little time with Elvis when you can. I'm going to end this with a couple of things here, and it's going to end with this. I'm not going to be back, but the rumor has been out there for many years of how the song came about for Ed Sullivan to sing on, I mean, not Ed Sullivan, but Elvis to sing on Ed Sullivan, the song Peace of the Valley. That CBS and Ed Sullivan did not want Elvis to do this. Well, this is Angie Marchese from Graceland Archives. She's been there for 30-some years. She handled all the stuff at Elvis at Graceland. And she actually has the answer to that question. So it's going to begin with her. It's going to roll into Elvis' performance on Ed Sullivan, and it's going to end. So I thank you. I hope you come back, leave comments, tell me what other songs you'd love to hear. I'm sure somewhere I've got the sessions. And what other things? I have some other ideas. I'm going to play some of the original versions of songs that Elvis done. I'm going to do some comparisons and react to some of the covers of Elvis's songs. So I'm excited to share my experience and my love of Elvis with music. So thank you. Have a good night.
Is it true that Ed did not want Elvis to sing a gospel song?
Now, that's very interesting because everyone has always heard that Elvis wanted to sing a gospel song on his final show. In fact, the last song he sings on his final appearance is Peace in the Valley. What's interesting is that we found in the archives this letter. It's dated January 3rd, and it says, Mr. Elvis Presley, It says, Dear Elvis, we have advised Mr. Sullivan that you are going to be doing the following songs on his show Sunday, January the 6th. When My Blue Moon Turns to Gold, Too Much, and Paralyzed. When the Colonel went to New York to discuss the setup with Mr. Sullivan for your appearance on Sunday, Mr. Sullivan thought it might be very appropriate for you to sing a hymn or a semi-religious song on the show. This would be in addition to the 3 you've already scheduled and if time is permitting. You certainly can sing a hymn very effectively, and I think it would make a very strong impression on the viewers. It has also been suggested by Mr. Sullivan that the hymn be Peace in the Valley, which, as we all know, that's the song that Elvis sang at the end of the show. So it's quite interesting that that request actually came from Ed Sullivan and not Elvis's request, which is what has been folklored all these years.
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, yes. Well, the morning's so bright and the lamb is alight, and the night is as black as the sea. Oh, yes. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. Oh, Lord, I pray there'll be no sadness, no sorrow, my Lord, no trouble I see. There will be peace in the valley for me, for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, inasmuch as he goes to the coast now for his new picture, this will be the last time that we'll run into each other for a while. But now wait a moment. I wanted to say to Elvis Presley and the country that this is a real, decent, fine boy. And wherever you go, Elvis, the guys who accompany you over there, we want to say that we've never had a pleasanter experience on our show with a big name than we've had with you. You're thoroughly all right. So now, let's have a tremendous hand for a very nice person.